That was a difficult time in my life with being a kid. On a farm, I was always expected to do work that, that probably grown-ups should do. I made through it. This is my dad. This is my grandpa. And this here's the story of Hanoi massacre. It's hard to explain. Makes me feel bad, really bad. I was born and raised on a farm in southern Indiana. I was in the middle of 12 kids. I was born in 1932, right in the height of the Depression, and we just about as poor as you could get. We had generally plenty to eat, but we had no money at all. We had nothing. We'd maybe get one pair of shoes to last us the whole school year. This is the house that I was born and raised in, and I was born in that upstairs or downstairs window right there, right inside of that window, in 1932. My school photos, my 6th and 7th grade. I'm right there in this one, holding the basketball. And this one here, over here in the back row. This here is my dad, and my mom, my dad, and my grandmother. This is myself and my 2 older brothers that was in the Second World War. I was in town of Kokomo, Indiana when the war broke out, and I remember a boy come by selling newspapers, reading, hollering extra, extra, read all about it. War with Japan broke out.
The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
It was a complete new world we lived in. We had blackouts and we had drills. They had rationed gas and tires, and everything else was rationed. We were pretty much uninformed, about world events, because we had no radio or anything like that. It was just a kind of word of mouth what we knew. I didn't really comprehend what war was at the time. From the time I was 15, my dad, all he would tell me was, just go quit school and go out and get yourself a job and make something of yourself. Well, I turned 17 on the 6th of June. I joined the Army on the 29th of September, 1949. I basically just joined the Army to get away from home and for the excitement of it. The military had a lot to offer.
They put the pressure on right away. It's a strange new world where the signs call for perfection, where you come and go on the double, where it's hurry up and then wait.
This is when I first joined the Army. I was in Fort Ord, California. I went to San Francisco and shipped out of San Francisco. I'd never heard of Okinawa, where we were gone, and we went on a ship called General M.N. Walker. It was a merchant marine ship, and they took us to Okinawa. I was in the 29th Regimental Combat Team, and about a week or two after I got on Okinawa, I had a captain come in a mess hall one day and told me that he understood that I could play a trumpet. He said, well, would you like to join the band? I said, well, yeah. So I went in the 29th Army Band, and I was in there for probably less than a month when the Korean War broke out. They took me out of the 29th Army Band, put me back in the 25th Regimental Combat Team. I knew by the bombers leaving Okinawa that something was happening, but that's the first time I'd heard of Korea. I never learned about it in school or never heard of it in all my life. We really didn't know where we were headed even. We docked in Busan, Korea, and they put us on 6x trucks, and we went about a day on the trucks. And when we come to this stop, and I think I was in the second truck from the front. I walked up ahead of us to look at this little bridge, and I seen 2 big bomb craters there where they'd blown the bridge. And I thought, wonder why they'd bring this people down there with that bridge blown. And I was up, like I say, in front of that convoy of trucks when the fighting started. I knew what was happening because there was people yelling, and most of the people was still on trucks, you know, and they started scrambling for cover, and the fighting just went on and on and on. And finally I thought, I better just get out of here. I started running. I think I must have run for 2 miles, and there was nobody around me, nobody followed me. And so I thought, well, I'll just go on down this road. And I didn't know it, but there was a little village there called Hanoi. And I went through that village, and there was farmers still working out in their rice paddies. And I run into another little town, and there was some GIs there. I just hung out there with them for, I don't know, I think about a couple, maybe 2 days. They kept questioning me about what I'd seen back there. I had no idea at the time, but later on I'd found out that there was supposedly 2 survivors from that massacre. I didn't really think about myself as a survivor, just another soldier. The yellow is the Hanoi casualties. I think it was 602 killed that day. Sad. After I got into the 35th Regiment of 25th Division, we contacted the enemy in many times. We was low on ammunition many times. We didn't have C rations on a regular basis. Winter was horrible, cold. We had no really winter gear. worst thing I remember was a young kid from Texas, and his name was Houston. We was under fire one night when he had two bandoliers around his shoulders. He got hit and exploded some of those shells that was in the bandolier, and it blew him off down, and it really affected me. I understood it later that he was only 16 years old, but I remember him crying and just broke me up. I was never proud to be there, and I always thought about making it home. When I left Korea, I remember standing out on the back end of this ship that I was on as I watched land, disappear behind us, and I knew I was going home. I never heard of Korea before I got there, and I'll be happy if I never hear about it again. When we come into Seattle, they did have a welcoming committee. Yeah, it kind of made you feel good, but it was good to be back on United States soil also. In the late 50s, in Southern Pacific, hired me, went to work on the railroad in a maintenance way shops as a mechanic. I worked all the way from Los Angeles to Tucson, and then I worked up the coast to San Luis Obispo. I retired in 94, and I had almost 36 years on the railroad. When I left Korea, I wanted to forget it, put it in my past, and I never wanted to think about it again in all my life. Then I got to thinking, maybe I should just kind of remember some of this. So I thought this scrapbook, I would gather up all the old pictures I could find, kind of try to put my life together. When I gathered up the stuff about the ambush at Hanoi, I got the article, I'd read it and I'd start to cry. And I finally finished this whole page, I would say a month ago or 6 weeks ago. Some of it was bittersweet, but I had a lot of bad experiences, just hard to explain. I did it basically for my daughter. She didn't really know anything about my family or anything about me in particular. I hope my scrapbook is important. I'm satisfied with my life. I really am. There's some memories that I wish was drowned, but they don't. But I was proud of my time in the service.